Shalom and welcome to this episode of Ask Aviel. My name is Aviel. You can ask me questions so that we can share, learn and grow together. This is part 2 of a series in healing relationships. Matthew 18, 15 to 17. Now, if your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault while you are with him alone. What does it mean to sin against another brother? Sin is defined as missing the mark and transgressing any of the 613 commandments recorded in the scriptures. It does not include personal preferences, personality differences, conflicting circumstances, individual peculiarities, and idiosyncrasies. I will mention some of the actions that are considered as sin towards our brother. If we commit any of these, the scriptures defined it as sin. According to Exodus 22, if two people quarrel and one strikes the other to the point that he is bedridden with injuries, the one that struck him must pay for the loss of his time and help him to be thoroughly healed, meaning pay for his medical expenses. But if any harm follows, then we are to penalize life for life, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, blow for blow. What does it mean here? This sets the limit for the extent of retribution. This law was meant to block man's natural desire for vengeance. It was not given as a license for revenge. Man's tendency is to want to do more against the offending party than what they did to us. If a man strikes the eye of his male or female slave and destroys it, he must let him go free for the sake of his eyesight. If he strikes out his slave's tooth, he must let him go free for the sake of his tooth. Masters must not injure workers or employees under them. Injuries would gain freedom for the slave under a cruel master. If injured by the master, the slave would receive something more precious than having his master blinded in one eye. The slave would gain his freedom. These laws guide the behavior of the master, giving him incentive to protect and honor his slave, treating him more like an employee than a work animal. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he is to pay 5 oxen for 1 ox or 4 sheep for 1 sheep. If a stolen item is small, the item is returned with a restitution of 4 times the value. If a stolen item is large, the item is returned with a restitution of 5 times the value. This should deter us from sinning against our brother by taking things that do not belong to us. If an item is found in the hand of a thief, or if a thief is caught red-handed, he is to pay double. It means to restore what was originally stolen, as well as a double recompense to the one he stole from. If a thief is unable to pay back what he stole, the thief himself was sold as a slave, where he was to go under a rehabilitation program and work for a maximum of 6 years or until the 7th year of Shemitah, where slaves would be set free. The money from the sale of the thief to a master would be paid to the victim, and the thief would now work in order to pay back the debt and injury he caused his victim. A man who is careless with another man's field by allowing his animal loose and it feeds in another man's field is to make restitution from the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. If a man lights a fire that breaks out, and some grain or the fields are consumed by the fire, then the one who lit the fire must make full restitution. He must pay back for the destruction and loss that he caused by his carelessness or deliberate harm. When there is a dispute and someone says, "This is mine," the case of both parties is to be brought before God. The one whom God convicts is to pay double to his neighbor. When there is no one who saw the incident and no witnesses, then there must be an oath before Adonai between the two of them to determine who the guilty party is. If proven that the accused party is innocent, the one who imputes guilt or blame is to accept it with no restitution. But if indeed it was stolen from him, the guilty party is to make restitution to the owner. If a man borrows anything belonging to his neighbor and it is harmed or dies in the absence of the owner, he must make full restitution. We must not exploit or oppress a foreigner, pagan, or Gentile. We must not mistreat any widow or orphan. If we lend money to any of God's people, to the poor among us, we are not to act like a debt collector with him, and we are not to charge him interest. If we ever take our neighbor's cloak or something essential to him as a pledge, we are to return it to him before the sun goes down, that very day itself, for that is his only covering, his cloak to keep warm. If we transgress any of the commands listed out in Exodus 22, the action would be considered as sinning against our brother. The consequences are severe. Compensation is more than proportional to the injury we have caused. Let us keep this principle of restoring more than we have offended or wounded to ensure that the relationship with our brother is healed. In all your relationships, may Adonai restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. It can happen today. Today can be the day of deliverance and salvation for your relationships. Thank you for joining me. I pray that this message inspires and challenges you. God bless you and your family. Shalom.